And so we basically proposed an experiment and made the hypothesis that if we actually tried to focus AI to some of the most time consuming or painful spots in our software delivery lifecycle, that we could see increased productivity if we're measuring like just throughput. So we identified 2 teams to start with to run this experiment. And these teams had a decent backlog from a product standpoint. Like we had a good PM and we had, generally speaking, 3 sprints worth of runway in front of us and a healthy tech debt backlog. So we're like, okay, well, there's plenty of work to do here. So we're not going to run out of work. And that's a good thing. And so we basically brought in one of the most trusted engineers in the org, which I think is critical to like AI adoption and success, is you got to have engineering leaders that are hands-on, that are the culture drivers, like people trust them versus the brilliant jerks. The brilliant jerks telling you to do it because you said so is just never a good thing. And so we brought in an engineer and we stood up essentially a set of skills that helped in our automation around Jira ticket creation, and then automating the read from those tickets into initial PR creation. And then also some like basic code review helpers. So things like security or best practices, syntax, whatever. Like we basically created some automation skills around that, put it all in a repo, and then exposed that repo to those 2 teams. So like going forward, we're using this. Here's how you're going to work with it. Got the managers of those teams on board, got the principal basically embedded with them for their first sprint. And said, we're going to measure, these 4 or 5 metrics that we had identified ahead of time. So our time to ship, time to glass kind of things. And went with that, let it run for a sprint. And the fact that we had basically that culture established, so that director, the managers, the principal, they're all there with the teams, they're in the ceremonies with the teams, talking about it, and then retroing on what's working, what's not working. The first sprint, we actually saw a pretty good increase. Like, this seems promising, let's lean in more. The second sprint, we actually saw a substantial increase. And then we started to see this feedback cycle of the engineers going, that's good, but it could be better if we did this. And so then they started basically contributing to that. And by the time we started the third sprint, I had 4 other teams in my org who were like, yeah, we talked to those teams. We want to start doing that. And the principal's been talking to our engineers and we want to start doing that. So by the third sprint, we're like, well, this really isn't an experiment anymore. It's working. All of the engineering teams in my org who had applied to basically leaned in and started going down that path.